Okay, we are live, I guess, technically in some fashion. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Slamhub Wrestling. Myself, Suprit, and this is your AEW Dynamite review for December 8th,
Yep.
2021. And I'm joined by Ridwan here. What did you think about Dynamite here, which took place in Long Island, New York, in the, I think it's the USB Arena? Wait, UBS Arena, right?
UBS Arena, yes.
Did I say USB?
Yes, you did.
Okay, my bad. But what did you think about the show?
I thought it was a great show. I mean, they built it as such, even though it was like subtly, they just built it up as like a pretty great show. And it was, of course, a homecoming of MJF and whatever we saw with him, whatever we saw in the main event, and everything in between. I thought it was, yeah, overall a pretty good show. What did you think about it?
Um, yeah, for me it was a really good show, but I'm feeling the concept of Dynamite for the last 3 weeks has been different. I don't know if it has to do with opening the show with segments, promo segments, are not a wrestling match.
Yes, you I mean you're good, you're right with that. Like they keep changing up things like each and every single week. Sometimes they do a promo. It's mostly tag team matches or matches in general. But yeah, I think for the past 3 weeks there has been a promo. Yes, there was like CM Punk MJF thing, and before that the Hangman's celebration, and last week what was there last week?
Like I'm saying, this 3 weeks has been okay. The first week was the show after Full Gear. They did something with Hangman and Danielson,
Yes, yes, I remember that. And the
and
week
last
after
week I
that,
think
no, the week after that was CM Punk and MJF having their promo off. And last week is what I'm trying to remember. No, last week was the match, right? Danielson versus Allen Angels.
yeah.
Yes,
So
and this
you,
week we
you
have
get my
a
point. They're
yeah.
trying, yeah, they're trying to go into that, opening something with either Danielson or Punk, mostly in a promo segment. But I would love it if they keep the regular thing with the matches, give us a hot match, and then put the a hot segment in the middle.
That's what, but also depends on what the crowd wants to see or what is like, pretty heavily built leading into that particular episode. Because last week, yeah, Danielson and Angels match was like pretty hyped of like in the respect. And before that was like CM Punk's homecoming in Chicago. And then, of course, the MJF thing, which was hot in itself. So,
But and another thing for this show, I think crowd. It was a good crowd, but I think they were mostly hot for if there was a hometown guy for
yes.
some good enough segments.
Yeah.
The rest of the matches they were kind of dead in some parts.
Yeah, I mean this most of this episode was filled with like hometown pops. So kudos.
But we'll get to the entire show. But before that, if you are new to Slam Up Wrestling, then make sure to like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Check out our other content, links provided in the description below. But so they kicked off AEW here in Long Island with just basic intro, and suddenly we hear the theme song of Maxwell, Jacob Friedman. Really good pop. But who comes out? It's CM Punk, and this crowd was pissed. Like insane boost for CM Punk. Didn't even care who that was. Like that was kind of a disrespect to the Long Island faithfuls. They wanted to see MJF, but here comes CM Punk. Excuse me, but CM Punk is basically enjoying here.
Yeah,
Like he's loving the heat.
man, if not sure if it was CM Punk or Bully Ray for a moment. The
Yeah,
heat,
he
the
loved the
heat,
heat.
the heat was outstanding, man. Like it could end winter.
And so he just loving the hate that he's getting from the crowd. And the few things he mentioned in this promo said, is that all you got, Long Island? Chicago was way
Chicago was
better than
loud.
you.
Chicago was way
Yeah,
louder.
That is actually true. Chicago was a pretty better crowd than the rest of the cities that AEW has been.
Mm. I mean, Chicago has kind of become their home territory in a way. Like, I know it's Jacksonville with all the daily place shows that they've done, but when it comes to big events, most of what it is they've done, it's in Chicago. So you could kind of call that. It's like WWF in New York or WWE in New York because they're like somewhat of the home base, even though Jacksonville is like and the Connecticut in WWE's case.
So is Punk here is shitting on Long Island here and continuously is just shitting on their team. Is it the Islanders?
Yep, it's a hockey team, National Hockey League team.
Oh, I thought it was a football team.
Nah, I mean, the football team is New York Giants, I think. Yeah.
Is it New York or some else?
No,
Does
it's
Long
it's
Island have a special football team?
no. I mean, Long Island is part of New York, so
Then is New Jersey part of New York? That's my question.
somewhat. I mean, they are just interconnected, right, right next to each other. So
But anyways, he's shitting on the crowd, their hockey team, and I think CM Punk was trying his best to keep the fans booing him. I think there could have been one point that the crowd would have chanted CM Punk, CM Punk. I think it initially started, but when he started the promo, the crowd was fully hating him.
yes, and there were like brief instances during his promo where the crowd was chanting like they weren't even chanting STFU, but they were like chanting, please keep talking. I heard that briefly, and also, of course, the CM Punk chants. Like, it wasn't anything compared to the MJF chants or You Suck chants.
And how did I forget, man? Before I starting this review, how did I forget? This is the same thing people were fantasizing or fantasy booking when Punk's debut was about to happen. It was originally going to be MJF coming out to Punk's theme, but this time Punk got the opportunity and he turned the tables basically.
Yeah, Punk played the Uno reverse card to us fantasy bookers, and good on it because if had MJF come out to Punk's team, I would have hated it so much. Like, when everyone was predicting it to happen when during Punk's debut. But what do you say? Like for a moment like this, at such an opportunity or at this point in their feud, I think it was justified, and it was something different to what everyone was expecting, which is always a good thing or often.
And Punk here is basically doing a parody of his own, original debut coming out. He's getting the heat here, and he did the part where it's getting hot in here. He took off his jacket. He has a new shirt, by the way, and it is the four pillar shirt. But we have Britt Baker, Dr. Britt Baker, replacing MJF here, and he brought up the fact that is this your guy MJF, who keeps on insulting me that that me CM Punk wants to get into Britt Baker's what, and he's basically shitting on MJF, and he's kind of disappointed. Punk is showing his displeasure that MJF ruined his homecoming in his hometown in Chicago. So basically what did you think about this entire segment here with Punk being the heel here? Thoughts on this one?
I thought it was brilliant because I mean, if there's anyone who's master on the mic is of course CM Punk, and be it heel or face, he knows how to play to the crowd's strengths. And of course, like with MJF coming back to his hometown, he was always going to get cheered, and he did get even later on in the show. And at this point, like when Punk came out, before Punk came out. So it was like a Bret Hart in Canada situation where Bret, whenever he was a heel in US, but whenever he used to go to Canada, he was a hometown hero. So they just played into that aspect, and I thought it was done very, very well.
And in that case, Punk pulled a Shawn Michaels in Toronto
Mm, Shawn Michael
or
in
Canada or
in
sorry
Montreal,
Montreal.
Montreal.
Why
Yeah,
am I saying Toronto?
nah, it's okay.
But I thought it was really good. I think it actually works in AEW. Like it is a AEW thing. They uh, they actually don't follow the this guy is a heel, this guy is a babyface that strictly. Like they go with the flow.
Yep. I mean, I can't say anything more than that, but yeah, this was a very good promo by Punk, hands down. Awesome stuff.
And another thing we forgot to mention, Punk is actually, the story is he is calling out MJF, but MJF is trying to escape him. That's what he mentioned in this promo. And he's looking forward to
Yeah.
the world title match between Hangman and Danielson next week for Winter is coming. And whoever comes out victorious, he wants to, be the next guy to challenge for the world title. But also, he mentioned that your hero, Long Island hero, MJF, also, wants to get that title shot. But Punk is the guy that wants that first title shot, and he will get that first title shot. So that's the story, and it's very intriguing to see how where this story goes from now. Now that they mentioned the world title picture.
Yes. I feel this is a match they can do probably at the TBS premiere, or they have a Jacksonville show coming up, or so probably there or even before that. But we are getting this match a lot sooner than what I expected, or what I was hoping for. Still happy to see it, and of course, like this is going to be a great match because MJF, like people, like I've mentioned this in the past, like people give him far more credit on the mic than in the ring, and in the ring he's been improving like leaps and bounds over the past year, and no better way to stamp that, of course, while facing someone like CM Punk. So it's going to be awesome.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Um, did they announce this match, Punk versus MJF?
No, they did not. Punk's just laid out the challenge to him, so that's it.
So for a second, I thought they were going to announce it for Winter is coming. So I
Nah, they
think
didn't.
it is a maybe there's a possibility they could stretch it out till
I
full
hope they
Full
do.
Gear. No, Revolution.
Revolution. I hope they do that because, like, imagine if CM Punk is making his entrance and then he gets jumped on by his goons, Wardlow and Sean Spears, and then later on, till probably, by the time he comes back, or he's in like decent enough shape to face MJF or with a better mind, then they could stretch it out till Revolution. I hope they do, though.
Speaking of which, Punk did mention that he doesn't have to do anything with the rest of the Pinnacle. He only wants MJF.
Yeah, I mean, he's mentioned them, and of course, they are his insurance policy. So there is like a great chance that they'll get involved and stop Punk from, facing MJF and delay it for like a bit.
But speaking about MJF, let's get to his segment. And he was part of the AEW Dynamite Diamond Ring Battle Royal. You know the rules. We got at least 12 to 13 guys in this
12,
battle royal.
it's a Dynamite dozen battle royal. I
Yeah.
think they mentioned that. So it's 12 people.
So the rules is, just a basic battle royal, but the last two, participants are basically the winners, and they'll have a singles match on next week. That is Winter is coming, and this wasn't much, the main star here in this match was MJF
Had to be.
for obvious reasons.
Yes. I like the intro that they gave to him. Like, there was a package that aired. He was like driving his Ferrari across his college
Whoa,
football
whoa, whoa, whoa,
field.
whoa, whoa. Was it a Ferrari or a Lamborghini?
I thought it was a Ferrari.
It kind of looked like a Lamborghini to me.
No, as in like, when he opened the car, right? So there was a
Yeah.
logo on the steering wheel. So I thought, yeah, I think it was a Ferrari.
And this package they did for MJ was really good.
Yeah.
Like for a second, the narrator is very strict, doing listing of accomplishments of MJF, and then he talks about MJF pulling chicks, and he's like, "Come on, bro."
Yeah, dude, this was awesome, bro. This is like a very MJF line. And then they were mentioning his collegiate achievements, like, from his football days to his amateur wrestling days. Well, I wasn't aware that he was an accomplished amateur wrestler, so that's like a really good thing. And like a lot of his AEW achievements, like he was undefeated or something like that. And then it ends with I'm better. Then he claims to be better than you, and you know it. And then MJF just winks at the camera, and then fade to black. And then he makes his entrance, and and the pop that he got was, I mean, of course, unexpected, but unexpected in terms of, in like a general consensus. But of course, it was Long Island, so of course he was going to get hit, like the cheer the hell out of the place. But the best thing about, I mean, one of the few good things about it was, of course, Tony Schiavone's reaction. Is like, you're getting MJF posters in the crowd. What's wrong with you? Is he a role model? I don't think so. He's then he just keeps berating him, and like every single opportunity that he got. Taz was his only defendant, though.
Yeah. On that note, do you think they wasted the pop here for MJF?
Why would you say that?
Like the first pop, the initial reaction when that first music hit is
And
when you get a large pop. But my question is, did they wasted the pop?
I don't think so, because like it goes both ways, because on one hand you said, like, starting the crowd off hot with a hometown hero coming in, but then like there was an obvious line to it, because like, CM Punk was getting the heat. So I thought it worked in that sense. And the MJF, like when he was cheered, when he arrived and he got cheered, so that was like, they knew it was him, and like, they cheered the hell out of him anyway. So it was great in that sense.
And now, right now, MJF is doing the doing the parody of Punk's debut now. Finally,
Yeah.
kneeling down in, kneeling down in the entrance, and he's trying to be emotional here. I don't know if it was genuine for a minute or he's being sarcastic.
No, it looked really genuine. I mean, it could be sarcastic now that you've mentioned it, but it was very much genuine to me, at least. Like, he was just leaning into the crowd, like, hugging them, and then just
He's
like,
doing
this is
this.
the yeah, he was doing this most of the time, like even after the match. And like, there was a barricade, he's just there, he's just posing to the crowd like, yeah, this is my home. And then I thought he was at one point I thought he was going to jump into the crowd like Punk did. Stage
And
dive.
I think he wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought it was a very good moment by itself, like a hometown hero coming back and getting cheered, which is like a rare sight of being MJF, that is. Because I was also like, a part of me was also expecting him to get booed, like, WWE style, people shitting on their hometown while preaching gospel about them everywhere else they go, or like the crowd at least booing him for the fun of it. Even his mom got like a very bad, like a very quirky sign, like, the last time our son wasn't an asshole, and it was a baby picture of MJF. So, like, even his mom, quote unquote, hates him in kayfabe. So that's there you go.
But it was weird to see. But for me, this is the best. This AEW gave MJF a mega treatment here with his hometown and he felt like a big star. Like this
No,
episode was dedicated to him,
yeah,
technically.
very much so, very much so. Agreed.
So it came off great and no props. So let's talk about this battle royal story of this match. Wardlow is beating everyone while protecting MJF. In one corner, MJF wrestled rarely here,
Yeah,
if I'm not wrong.
he was getting in cheap shots whenever there was an opportunity. Like, he was going more so after Dante Martin whenever he was isolated. Like, Dante was at the bottom left corner of the hard cam, and there was like an opportunity of just beating him. MJF just takes two stomps, and then he just goes, what do you say, at the apron, just stands into the turnbuckle and just soaks in the adulation. He just does like this, and just, I thought it was hilarious though.
Like for every cheap shot he did, like the crowd got louder and louder.
Yeah, I mean, it's MJF, so
So yeah, he's basically being protected by Wardlow in one corner. Wardlow is doing all the heavy lifting here. So at one point there was a face-to-face between Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs, and I said no water, no bread, just meat.
neat.
So so they had a little interaction, with the big man spot. So Hobbs got eliminated at one point by Leo Rush. So there was something between Leo Rush and Dante Martin. They actually didn't fight. So let's fast forward and get to the final part. So what happened was, at least there were three guys. I think it was Kazarian. No, no,
No,
it was
not
Leo
Kazarian.
Rush.
No, it was Shorty. It was Wardlow, and there was one more person.
Like there were three guys who were trying to eliminate Wardlow.
Yeah. Yeah, they were trying to eliminate Wardlow, and Wardlow was trying to eliminate them at the same time, and then MJF
And
takes the opportunity and just eliminates all of them, and of course Wardlow is pissed at that, and then Shawn Spears just tries to calm him down, and then he gets sent to the back. So the final three at that point, huh? Sorry, you were saying something.
I love the fact that Wardlow became a babyface by default. That because he was protecting the hometown guy.
Oh, that's there. And like Wardlow, they've been building towards a Wardlow face turn since God knows when. I think probably since the Cody feud or the Mox feud where MJF challenged for the championship. So I think, yeah, from then they've been building because MJF always berates him whenever he gets an opportunity. So it's like one of the best long-term builds that they've done so far.
So Kazarian was about to jump on MJF. He gets eliminated. We're left with three guys. It's MJF, Dante Martin, and Ricky Starks. So
My
Taz
boy.
is happy that two of his guys are still in this match. But Dante Martin, decided to betray Ricky Starks here. He chucks Starks off the top rope. So we're left with two guys,
His expression was
and
awesome, Ricky Starks.
yeah, Starks is incredible, man.
I
So
love Ricky
MJF,
Starks.
he's absolute, and we love him as well.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the two guys were MJF and Dante Martin. MJF is celebrating here, and the crowd is getting louder and louder by minute. So there was this spot where MJF decides to shake Dante Martin's hand. So Dante was a little iffy about it, but finally decided to shake MJF's hand. Got a good reaction. So MJF walks off, but Dante Martin was blindsided by Ricky Starks. So MJ was doing some tease here. He's walking, backstage. So decided, should I save him or should I not? He was teasing it hard, and finally decided to jump the ring. Huge reaction for that as well. Went face to face with Ricky Starks, but decided to attack Dante Martin, which was hilarious. So there was a two-on-one beatdown on Dante Martin, but who comes for the save? CM Punk, and still getting booed by this crowd. He saves Dante Martin here. Went face to face with Ricky Starks, hit the GTS on Starks as MJF leaves. Punk and MJF have some war of words, and there you go, man. That's the entire segment.
Yep. The other person who was eliminated along with Wardlow and Shotty was Leo Rush, by the way. So
So Dante Martin here, who technically was a Team Taz member for what, 2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah. Because last week it was just a small promo, and then he was just celebrating with Ricky Starks and all, and Leo Rush. But I must say that I felt a little shortchanged because I was expecting this angle to go a bit longer than expected. Like, I mean, not longer than expected. Like, I was hoping this angle to go that it would go long. Like, it would eventually lead to his brother Darius returning, and from there Dante would, reveal that it was a ploy all along. So I felt,
Well, I think Mr. Dante Martin did the worst decision of his life.
yeah, he's about to get battered, and of course, we'll get to that eventually. What you're
We will,
referring,
man. We will.
we will. But yeah, overall, like it also extends the Punk Ricky Starks angle slash feud, if you want to call it, because whenever we see Rampage, we always see like Ricky Starks shitting on CM Punk, and of course the Punk and Team Taz feud that started after All Out. So they are like, of course, they're extending that, but subtly. The right now the main focus is on Punk and MJF, and this will be a moment that they'll revisit later in the future when Starks is like fully cleared, because I think that's the reason that they had held off this feud for a while, because Starks wasn't fully medically cleared at that point. And then of course Punk moved on with his own story. Starks is still there, but Yeah, man, I'm excited to see. Of course, the Punk MJF thing is going to be awesome, and later on, Punk and Ricky Starks feud. Of course, that whenever that happens, that is going to be superb as well. So, thumbs up.
But moving on, man, we had a random eight-man tag on this show. This was Jurassic Express and the Varsity Blondes. They were facing the Acclaimed and 2.0. And I want to ask you one question, Ridwan.
Shoot,
Yo,
yo,
there you go. That's the reaction I was hoping you would give. But this was
the
a could
hometown
say it
boy.
was a good enough eight-man tag. Another hometown guy with Max Caster. Really good reaction for the Acclaimed. Didn't do much with the rap. Even for 1 minute he was claiming he was a good island boy, and the other second he is just shitting on the Islanders. And there was some Governor Como line.
Yeah, I didn't.
Who's
I mean,
Governor Como?
just one moment.
Yeah, Ridwan here doing his research.
Okay, he is served as the 56th governor of New York from 2011 to 2021. So, politics reference that I wouldn't want to get into at this point. But yeah, he is also shitting on the Islanders because they didn't win a match for the longest time and hasn't won a trophy for the longest time as well. So that's where
At
like
least,
that was the low hanging fruit in this episode, if you want to call it.
yeah, at least he didn't shit on Julia Hart, thankfully.
Yeah, and Jungle Boy as well. If you know, you know.
Yeah, speaking about Jungle
He
Boy,
did, he did, he did shit on Jungle Boy, but not in the other kind. So I'm just trying to, avoid the controversy as much as I can.
another thing to note that we finally got to see Jungle Boy and Jungle Man in the same ring together. Yes,
Yeah,
Griff Garrison.
Griff Garrison, right? That
But
was the entire joke, right? When Dark Order used to say who the F is Griff Garrison, and then they used to call him Jungle Man and stuff.
so nothing much to take here. So they're trying to get Jurassic Express into the tag title match or the tag title scene as soon as possible. That's the story, and I think the rest of these teams are kind in a way are ranked in the top five rankings, if I'm not wrong.
Yep. I think, yeah, 2.0, like they had mentioned, they had won 7 out of the 11 matches, last 11 matches, which I thought was very impressive. And the Acclaimed was also like around the top four. And of course, Jurassic Express is number one and Varsity Blondes is number two. That is something that they had been building on for the past few weeks, even on Dark and Elevation, I think. Varsity Blondes are getting like a lot more promo time to build their character and claim that they are like around the number one ranking. We're the number one ranked teams in AEW.
But this was a short and it was a good enough eight-man tag. It really got good at the end. And we had a hot tag from Luchasaurus for from the babyface team. By the way, Luchasaurus has really great hot tag. I was about to say babyface tag, and the crowd loved Luchasaurus for that reason, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Luchasaur, there has like for the past few months, I'd say ever since CM Punk returned to wrestling and came to sign for AEW, they've gotten a lot more eyes on the product and a lot more viewers. But if there is someone I'd say who has benefited from a entire, leading more to a mass audience, and I'd say it's Luchasaurus because of his abilities as a wrestler and getting a dinosaur gimmick over in 2021, and with his athleticism and ability to wrestle. So I thought he has benefited greatly, and he's been like a lot more over. And of course, with the association with Jungle Boy, his theme song is over. He is over by association. Luchasaurus is also over, and Luchasaurus is fucking awesome. So what more do you want, right?
He is marketable for the
No,
casuals.
totally.
But at the end, there was some shenanigans. Like Jungle Boy was about to finish off Max Caster with this snare trap, but here comes Daniel Garcia to call, for some distraction. But Eddie Kingston came for the save. He gets rid of Daniel Garcia and just walks off. So Jungle Boy even got distracted by what was happening at the outside. Caster, tried to finish off Jungle Boy with the mic drop, the elbow drop from the top rope, but he missed that. And finally, Jungle Boy got in the snare trap, and Max Caster tapped out. But the babyfaces get the victory.
For a
So there was
moment,
something going on.
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, you were saying
For a
something.
moment, yeah, that's what. For a moment, I thought they were going to give the hometown boy the victory over here. So I thought this was a good, a small fresh change of pace in that. But it was great. Like it was what was necessary with Jungle Boy and Jungle Boy's team winning because, of course, the Luchasaurus are number one ranked. So and they are due a title shot soon.
So there was something, like I said, going on with Eddie Kingston. He walks off. We see him going to the backstage area, and he was met by Ortiz of Proud and Powerful. We all know the history between Kingston and Proud and Powerful. So I think he was trying to
For better or
cut a
worse.
promo, but we couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, that was bad. But like the history that you had alluded to, it's like for better or worse, we know the history between Gordon Buffalo, formerly LAX, and Eddie Kingston. So they could not, like, we couldn't hear shit of what Eddie Kingston was saying, which is like disappointing because, of course, like we love to listen to Eddie Kingston. And then they get jumped from behind by 2.0, and there were like a lot of these security guards were trying to save them, but Matt Lee just hits each and every single security guard with a dustbin. So there you go. That was the entire segment, a post-match segment, if you will.
So this falls in line with the Jericho thing that they are doing with this sad story with Kingston, feuding with, not a feud, but having problems with 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. So in a way, it kind of makes sense. And I would love if people say that it would be great if Kingston takes Proud and Powerful away from the inner circle.
I'd say so too, because they are due a title opportunity slash a title run anytime soon. And they'll only get it if they leave in a circle.
And God knows how this Kingston Jericho feud turns out.
I mean, I'm intrigued by it because all this while we've been seeing Jericho do a lot of comedy shit. It's after or during his Le Champion days, like when he was the world champion. So, like, there were few serious elements, but it was mostly comedy. He was doing the more of the comedy half, be it he was facing Mox, he was facing Cody, he was doing that who wears a scarf thing. Well, while he was talking about MJF, and then after that, he was facing Mox, and after that, the whole Stadium Stampede thing, and then the feud with MJF, the story, the entire story. So he's largely been involved in a lot of comedy stuff, and this is probably his first opportunity or like in AEW where he could go like 100% serious, and Kingston is going to beat the shit out of him, which is what I'm hoping for. And also get, I mean, if Kingston already has like a great amount of rub, going toe to toe with the guys like Miro, CM Punk, and now even Chris Jericho, so that'll also help him elevate in the title picture and hopefully get a title run somewhere like in the next couple of years.
I want Kingston to fully expose Jericho on the mic.
Me too.
Yeah, that's all we want, because Jericho, I say this every week, is getting little boring.
Stale.
I mentioned the singing to Judas is not the end all be all now.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's keeping him relevant. So might as well roll with it, right?
Let's hope for the best, man. Let's hope for the best. But we heard from the living Lucha Legends, the AAA Tag Team Champions (FTR). So they are talking about this. When are they gonna be finally getting that title shot, that fair title shot? And talked about Lucha Bros. They have beaten Lucha Bros several times, and once I think they beat them at Triple Mania or the
This
last AAA
past
show last week.
last Friday, yeah. Like last Friday for shoot or last Saturday, I guess. They were wrestling. Lucha Bros in a ladder match for the AAA Tag Team Championships, and FTR was also managed by Vicky Guerrero for that match, and they won the damn thing. So
Yeah, and they also mentioned the only time Lucha Bros beat FTR, that was with shenanigans, like they didn't beat the legal guy in that match. So we are getting finally getting a proper rematch between Lucha Bros and FTR. This is happening at Rampage this week. And my question is Rampage taped or live? I
it's
think it's
taped.
taped, right?
It's taped.
Any spoilers?
No, I'm trying to avoid it as much as I can. But the only thing I mean, of course, I won't spoil it. Even though it was like a minor spoiler, which is not related to any match or any result or whatever. But yeah, I'll get to that. We'll get to that eventually.
Should be a good match for a 1 hour Rampage.
Yep, but a part of me feels that this match either won't happen or, of course, they'll mostly try to save it for a later date because, what do you say? It's a taped show, so I'm not expecting the title to change hands. Plus, a match like this, even though it happened on a pay-per-view already, they deserves a bigger stage because the rivalry is as heated as Lucha Bros and FTR.
I think we are ready for the payoff because this thing has been going on for a while. They even swapped partners with Park and Penta. I think they had a match last week on Rampage.
Yep,
So it's time they finally put this to dust and Lucha Bros could move on to new challengers.
probably, but uh, let's see what happens.
But let's talk about another tag match here. This is the Young Bucks. They are finally back to competition. They are facing Chaos members Chucky T and Rocky Romero. And I was surprised that this match went more than 10 minutes. Like, this felt like a big match for TV standards.
Yeah, this match went way too longer than what I expected it to be. Because and of course, like there was like an entire giant ass ad break also in the middle, which extended the match even further. And of course, the whatever happened, like for the finish and also the post match, I thought it was easily around 20 minutes. This match had to have
Yeah.
been, including whatever happened like around the finish of the match.
Yeah. And the thing about this match was there was good wrestling. Like initially there was some good wrestling, and it is as the match went by, the crowd, kind of became dead
It
until we
dissipated.
got to the final parts.
Yes.
Like as they picked up the pace at the final parts of the match, then we saw the crowd getting interested in this match, and those near falls at the end really helped, I guess.
Yeah, but for the most part, like there was a lull period when Chuck Taylor was getting worked on by the Bucks. Like they had the shenanigans aspect, but the Bucks, of course, they were trying to go with their usual over the top shtick. Nick Jackson being Nick Jackson, and then Matt Jackson just doing like a couple of cartwheels and then just jogging to do just a back rake. So like it got the fans invested at some point, but then once there was like just before the ad break when they like fully started working on Chuck, that's when it extended like way longer. And I thought even the ad break was like so long by itself, so which extended the match as a whole. And yeah, but like you mentioned, the end, like there were a lot of near falls, and of course the spots with Orange Cassidy doing his doing Orange Cassidy things, and then Chuck Taylor, of course, I think it was Nick Jackson who was outside when Chuck Taylor gave him a soul food, the eat defeat were the move, and then there was like a lot of aerial moves, like Rocky Romero was doing a crossbody, and then Chuck Taylor was getting a super kick, and of course, like I mentioned, the Orange Cassidy and Adam Cole bit. So that of course heated up the crowd a lot more, and of course the near falls as well, which helped build some interest into the match. It was a match of two
um
halves, for lack of a better term.
Indeed. So I got a question for you. You being a big pop culture guy, I want to know, why does Nick Jackson do the Paka?
It's a reference from the show called Arrested Development. Like I haven't watched the show myself. I've been wanting to, but apparently it's a thing from there. So I mean,
That's great.
as per what I've read, mostly.
I think that really gets a pop from me every time he does that. And whenever he does that Randy Savage, impression, that is a
Oh,
top-notch impression, man.
yeah. Like there was a clip from I think last month's Being the Elite episode when Kenny was still world champion. So they had this part where Nick Jackson was doing the like he was doing a random Macho Man impression, and then they were talking about Stockholm syndrome, and then Nick Jackson goes like, "You effing got Stockholm syndrome up in this son of a b." So it has been trending on Twitter for a while. So, and Nick Jackson being Nick Jackson, so it's like over as hell.
Nick Jackson is actually a funny guy because he can do comedy with a straight face.
Oh, yes, like that's total, dry slash deadpan humor on his end. So, kudos to that.
But let's talk about this match. We talked about the near falls, crowd being dead for a while, really picked up at the end. We got the involvement of Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy from their side, trying to assist their teams. So potentially they are building towards a singles match between Orange Cassidy and Adam Cole. So there was this spot, like the crowd really popped for this one. Like the Bucks teased doing a dive on Rocky and Chucky, but instead they went to the outside, super kiss on the outside, huge reaction. And let's get to the final parts. The Bucks actually, I think it was Matt Jackson and Rocky Romero, really
Hmm.
great, exchanges. And I love how Matt Jackson pulled Rocky Romero for the tombstone, and
Yes.
they finally hit the Meltzer driver. It's been a while since I saw that. So the Bucks win. No surprise, they are the top guys in this situation here. So there was a big post match angle as well, as the Super Clique are beating on the rest of the best friends here. That is Chuck Taylor, Orange Cassidy, and Rocky Romero. But I think something else happened. Like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
Vila Yuta also got
uh,
beat up.
did Wheeler Yuta actually came for the save?
Yeah,
That's
he
my
did.
question.
He did. He was beating up Adam Cole first, and then he gets super kicked by the
Okay,
Bucks.
so basically these heels are beating on the baby faces, but so we saw a Panama Sunrise from Adam Cole on Orange Cassidy, and I think they wanted to hit a triple BTE trigger on Cassidy, but we hear the best friends theme, and then a van pulled up. It's Sue, and who guess who was on the back seat? It's the Blade. The Blade is back on national television here on
He,
AEW, right?
I
It was
don't
the
think
Blade, right?
I don't think the Blade ever left though.
Was it the Blade or John Moxley?
It was a love child of both of them.
It's actually Trent, man. Trent has a nice buzz cut. He got rid of the hair. I think it has to do with JR continuously, talking about the strongest headband in the business today. I
Yeah.
think he got an ad for that one.
Yes, I kind of miss that now because like it made him look different in a way because like with the long hair and of course the headband. Now with the bald look, I mean the buzz cut look, it'll take me a while to get used to it because ever since I've been watching Trent Barretta wrestle, he's always had long hair. But it was like a
So,
yeah, go ahead.
so yeah, it was actually Trent, not the Blade. For a second, I thought it was the Blade. So he has this new look. He comes out of the van, gets a good look, kiss from Sue. We love Sue. She's the most over mom in the business today. So,
Certified by Taz and Excalibur as well, the most over mom in the
so,
business.
so Trent, is cleaning house, beating each and everyone. He dumped someone on his head. I think it was Nick Jackson or Matt Jackson, one of the
Nick.
Bucks. So, basically, he did the save for his teammates. He's finally back from a serious injury, by the way, which is good
Yeah,
to know.
he had like he's had a couple of injury relapses over the past year, which is like sad because I remember during the feud with Miro and Kip Sabian, he had a neck surgery, And then he returned at the Arcade Anarchy, the match that they had, the brawl, including video games. That's when even Chris Statlander had returned and joined the Best Friends. So that was when he returned. And after, I think, a couple months, he got injured again. This time it was a spinal issue. And now he's back. I hope he remains injury free. Like, best wishes to him. And it's awesome to see him back. Like, if you would have told me like in 2010 that Trent Beretta would be one of the most over guys in wrestling, I would have probably like laughed myself. But here we are,
But
and he's fucking awesome. So great stuff.
this was a really good moment.
Of
He
course,
get rid of, like, he gets rid of the heels. We got to see the big group hug, and another one with
yeah,
Sue,
and
and
Statlander.
this was a really feel good moment
Yeah,
on the show, I guess.
it was so wholesome. Like, of course, Sue is also over, and of course, the best friends are best friends. It was very wholesome. Like, I almost teared up at one point with just seeing everyone together. And I'm not even making this up. Like, it was beautiful to see everything, whatever that happened after that.
You have to give the people what they want, man.
Yep. And of course, Trent also being a hometown boy, he's also from Long Island and then getting this reception from the crowd, making his big return, and fuck yeah.
There you go, man. There you go. But yeah, I think we are doing maybe a super click and best friends feud for a while.
Yeah. It's probably happening at the TBS premiere is what I feel.
Yeah, I think this is a way upgrade for best friends. They were doing something with Matt Hardy and the
Oh,
HFO.
yes, yes. It's a,
So,
it's a big time upgrade, man. I was so fucking sick of that feud.
by the way, did you hear that Matt Hardy actually is maybe will be getting rid of the big money gimmick?
Yeah, he mentioned that on Twitter, right? Like, you will be getting authentic Matt Hardy from now on. Authentic Matt Hardy tweets.
Hmm. That's good, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he's still big money man for now.
Yeah, he is.
But anyways, let's talk about the TBS tournament. We heard a interview with Ruby Soho, but like always, it is interrupted by the Bunny and Penelope Ford. I think they were just making fun of Ruby here, and they were talking about this six-man match that has been booked. So six women, not
Six
six
women.
man, six women. God. So this is Penelope Ford and the Bunny and Nyla Rose. So they will be facing Ruby Soho. So in this situation, they were making fun of Ruby Soho. Do you have any friends?
Ruby
So
Solo.
yeah, they even did the Ruby Solo joke here.
That was
And
good.
my question is, who wrote this promo? Bruce?
Oh, I thought it was a funny line. Like the entire premise, I could care less, but that line was somewhat good. And then, like when Nyla Rose did the surprise bits, the like forearm smash to Ruby, so I thought that was also great because Nyla Rose is awesome. Yeah, you were
I
saying.
was I was ready to walk off when this segment was happening, but Nyla Rose came in out of nowhere and I started laughing.
Yeah, surprise, bitch. She just gives- And then,
Nyla Rose is super underrated, let me tell you.
oh, for sure. Like, if there's like a big women's competitor in wrestling, like who is very like big in size and of course so athletic, I think Nyla Rose also takes the claim for that because she is very underrated, and of course like the gift of gab that she has is awesome as it is.
Don't forget the Twitter game.
Oh, that's what, like I just mentioned that, like the gift of gab with the abilities to speak or tweet.
Bro, Nyla Rose's comic timing is way better than the entire Queen's Crown tournament. There you go.
The Queen's Crown joke of the week.
But yeah, we are getting a six-woman tag at Rampage. This is going to be Ty Conti and Ajay, who will be teaming with Ruby So, facing the heels mentioned, Nyla Rose, Bunny, Penelope Ford. So yeah,
Yeah, should be good.
should be good. And when are the rest of the TBS tournament matches happening?
uh has to happen because there's only like a couple more matches left before the finals, which will definitely happen at the TBS premiere of Dynamite. I mean, they have to do that. So my guess is probably either the Christmas and New Year shows they'll have one semifinal each, or probably one. No, they didn't announce any match for Dynamite, right? Next week.
No, winter is coming
Oh
next week.
yes, fuck, right. So probably like the Rampage after that, or the couple of Dynamites after.
Yeah, basically they're skipping a week or so, I guess.
Hmm. I think it's fair
Uh,
because they need like an occasion of their own. And so far, I
yeah,
think the TBS tournament has been booked really well. So great stuff.
I think it will make sense until we get to the TBS debut, right?
Yep. I mean, the final has to happen there. I don't see it happening anywhere else.
But this is regarding the TBS Championship. Let's talk about the TNT Championship. We had Shivani interviewing the TNT champion. This is Sammy Guevara. So he's talking about his next open challenge, and out of nowhere, Cody Rhodes shows up from the babyface tunnel, not from the entranceway or the huge ramp. So
For a
he came
change.
out. Yeah, after Punk, this guy is the next guy, wrestler who got major hit. Like Cody Rhodes gets major hit every week now. It's a thing. So he comes in. He says he's not going to, blindside you. It's a very cheap comment here.
Yeah, from one good guy to another. I thought that was a very hilarious line from Cody because
Bro,
the crowd
Cody
was,
Rhodes looks like he was in an accident.
oh my God. Like, we didn't review Dynamite last week, but what the fuck was that match, man? The him like
Yeah,
jump.
I respect him for doing that, but it
So
is
do I.
debatable was it stupid or not.
Yeah, it was. I felt it was. Like the match was
But
good, but the ending kind of ruined it. And that has been the case
so
with AEW, unfortunately, whenever they go the extra mile with like, sports like these, whenever there's like a fire or some disaster involved.
feels like Cody Rhodes done with Malachi / Andrade / FTR program.
Yeah, and last week he just beat like he had already beaten Malakai in a no DQ match, and now he beat Andrade by jumping into the fire. So
Okay, so very weird payoff in a way. I don't know what the payoff was actually.
yeah,
But he comes in and he actually challenges Sammy for a TNT title match. So I think this match is happening next week.
no, it's on the like the week after winter is coming. It's on the Christmas episode, and they're in Greensboro, North Carolina. So I don't really have a good feeling about this
I'm
because
scared.
me too, because like North Carolina is also like one of Cody's quote unquote home because when he debuted as a wrestler in WWE, his first hometown build was Charlotte, North Carolina. So, and they are in Charlotte, North Carolina at that point because Greensboro Coliseum is there. So, I don't really have a good feeling about this, to be honest.
90% chance Sammy retains. There has been, a little story to Cody and Sammy Guevara. Like they faced off in the first Dynamite.
Yeah,
That was their first match.
the very first match in Dynamite history was Cody versus Sammy.
Yeah, it would make sense if Sammy gets the victory, but there is a small chance, man, that Cody says, "Fuck it, I'm beating this guy, taking the title."
I'm going over, brother.
I don't know, man. But we also heard from Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky as well. They brought the news that Dan Lambert will be making his return, and I think Abby was very happy when he heard that. So
Oh,
yeah, Dan Lambert is coming back, and they mentioned that they should be in line to get this TNT title shot, and mentioned that if they were in this EVP position, they could have easily got this title shot. But yeah, I think when this Cody thing is done, they would be getting in that TNT title picture.
yep.
Especially I'm talking about Ethan Page,
I
or
think
is it
Scorpio.
Scorpio Sky?
Scorpio, he's in like the top five rankings. They even mentioned that in the promo. Like, you've been
Yes.
ducking me. I had to like Ethan Page was like, I've scratched through hoops and clawed my way into getting one match with you when it's an open challenge. And Cody just got it by kissing Tony Khan's ass. If he was EVP, he would have done the same thing. But enough about me. You've been ducking someone who's in the top five rankings, and then Scorpio does his spiel saying that he at any given opportunity he'll beat Sammy Guevara for the championship. So there you go. That's the build, if any, for a future match that they would have. But they have to cross through. Sammy has to cross through a hoop like Cody Rhodes to in order to get to a future match with Scorpio Sky. But there is a way, because I personally haven't really gotten to enjoy Sammy's reign as much, because like there has been open challenges, there have been some pretty good matches, but it hasn't had that oomph like someone like Miro had, because he made the TNT championship mean something. And probably like if he gets to win over Cody, if hopefully Sammy gets to win versus Cody, it'll be like a good shot in the arm that his title reign so desperately needs. And beating someone like of course, beating someone like Cody Rhodes, and who was the very first TNT champion, mind you. So that'll be a good boost for his title run. So hoping that it galvanizes his reign and of course leads to bigger and better things until he drops the title.
Hey, at least there is another story with Sammy and Man of the Year, Scorpio Sky, for
Yes,
the TNT title. So that is pretty good. We could easily do a open challenge, whenever on a random dynamite, but at least there is some long-term thing going on regarding this championship.
right.
But we'll have to wait and see. But let's talk about Jamie Hayter versus RIHO. And Jamie Hayter was accompanied by Reba. Sorry, Reba? Did I say
Re-
Reba?
yeah, Rebel, not Reba.
It's Reba, right?
Reba, yeah.
Reba, not Rebel.
It's Rebel, not Reba.
It's very confusing, man. But there was Rebel and, of course, Dr. Britt Baker, TMD. So this match, the story is sorry, Riha. I said
Yeah,
Riha, not Riho.
it's okay.
Even I
It-
think Excalibur was this close to butchering the name here. I think he almost called Riho Rebel or
Oh
Reba.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, Riho is number one contender now for the women's championship. She beat Britt Baker in the last Rampage. And what did you think about this match, man? Because I want to bring up this point. Uh, Riho, sometimes she's really great, sometimes she's just off, I guess.
Yeah, I thought this match was decent, mainly for like the final sequences, but for whenever Jamie was getting the heat, whenever Riho was like at the defense, I thought it was pretty basic at that point, because it was a David versus Goliath match for what it was. And for the most part, of course, like the big dominant Jamie Hitter just kicking, I mean, trying to beat down Riho and softening her up for her eventual match with Britt Baker. So that was the entire story, and that's where, and of course, it is also a wrinkle into the long term Britt versus Jamie Hater match. So that's another story that's going on. And like yeah, for that I thought the match was decent overall. Overall, like it picked up huge towards the end. So yeah.
And the thing is, you said that David versus Goliath, terminology. Riho is not even kind of that believable for the David role as well.
That's okay.
But like I said, in some, you know, s- what do you what do you want to say? Like I said, in some ways, Rio is really great. She could really pull off great matches. Like for example, you check out her match with Serena Deeb, maybe or even the initial matches she had with Nyla Rose. That were actually great.
Even the match with Britt Baker she had like this past couple of weeks, that was also a really good match.
Yeah, but I think it's the size that puts you off as a viewer.
Probably, but there's also saying, right, it takes two to tango. So probably we wouldn't have seen a better chemistry between Riho and Jamie Hater while this match was happening. So
And even this match, it was really decent enough. There was one major botch, I guess. I think Rio completely missed Jamie Hater on a big crossbody.
Yes, but she made up good with that. Like she just carried her and then threw her into the ring post. So that was like a good save by Jamie.
And I have to say, man, Jamie Hater, is really great at selling. Like, she sold immensely for even Rio.
Yep.
And there was this big, like, finishing sequence where Rio did, I think, what do you call it? A cradle bomb?
No, it's a crucifix bomb from the turnbuckle that she did.
And Jamie Hater almost lands on her neck.
Very Kota Ibushi vibes with that one.
Yeah, Kota Ibushi breaks his neck in different ways.
Yeah, but he's still strong. His neck has become like, non-existent at one point because whenever he lands, he's still strong as hell.
Yeah, and did you see how he broke his arm in a
G1
what do you call it?
final.
Phoenix splash.
Yeah, it was a crossbody, right? Yeah, the crossbody Phoenix Splash or something. And then he just lands
Yeah, something
horribly.
like that, and he completely dislocated his arm.
Yeah, it
Pretty
was.
underwhelming.
Yep. Like the final was called off because of that, right? And Okada won the match by default.
Yeah, that was insane.
Yep.
But let's get to this match. Yeah, very decent enough match. Rio got the win finally with the double Meteora, the double knees actually. And yeah, that's the story with Britt Baker and Rio. I think you could do it. You could stretch it out, I guess, or you do it in the middle.
And they'll do it in the middle for sure. Like now,
Battle of the Belts.
no, Battle of the Belts, I feel is a bit too far for that. They'll probably do it at the Christmas episode or the Jacksonville episode that they're doing for New Year's. Either one of the two.
We'll have to wait and see. There was a post-match beatdown on Riho. A bit Baker actually locked in the lockjaw, and there you go. So yeah, we'll
It
have
was
to
a
wait
very
and
weird.
see.
It was a very weird lockjaw because she was like the hand that she was touching when she did the lockjaw with that. So it was like a pretty different one to what we see regularly.
I think it was TV time, brother.
Yep, yep. Gotta
But
take it home.
there was another thing with regarding the TBS in a tournament. We heard from Thunder Rosa and Jade Cargill. And did they even announce the date for this match, or
No. They
like
didn't.
the other situation,
Yeah,
like it's
it
going
was
to happen
just
after winter is coming?
yeah, it was just a hype promo for the match, the eventual match that happened, and that will happen. And of course, this past week on Rampage when Jade Cargill faced one of Thunder Rosa's students, and then they just beat each other up, and of course, Thunder Rosa making the save and the brawl after that. So it was just a recap of that plus building towards the match, so which was decent.
Let me tell you what was not decent. This announcement from Taz, he was actually was saying this after what happened, earlier on with Ricky Starks and the betrayal of Dante Martin. So he was trying to build this big announcement, and we finally got this announcement. And let me tell you, we were not ready. We were
Oh,
not ready for this announcement.
we
So he
weren't.
said, this Rampage. For one second, I thought he may be saying that we could be getting Punk versus Ricky Starks. But no, we are getting the long awaited debut of Hook the Crook. He
He is
finally, steps in the ring,
he was finally
and he's
sent.
facing,
He was finally sent. Send hook.
like, yeah, you wanted send hooks. You are finally getting Hook here, and he will be making his debut against my boy Fuego del Sol. So should be good, man. Pretty intrigued.
Yeah, that is the only spoiler that I've seen. Like, of course, the match, I'm expecting him to pick up the victory, but there was just his entrance video with his ring gear. And of course, Twitter being Twitter, they were just gushing all over Hook, the crook.
Yeah, see, Tony Khan got so desperate, seeing the Rampage numbers, so he's pulling out all stop here.
Yeah, the big draw. That's what people want to see.
The 18 to 49 demo for this Rampage will go through the roof. Let me
Yes,
tell you.
and it'll get more ratings than NXT 2.0, that's for sure.
Bro, it will beat SmackDown in the demos.
Oh, absolutely.
There you go. But let's talk about the Varsity Bloods again. They showed up in a interview segment with Tony Schiavone. I don't know what they were actually talking about, but the lights go out. There is Malachi Black. He shows up and Black missed to Julia Hart. And God bless Julia Hart, man. She actually sold it like it was an accident or something. She was in a car accident or something. She was screaming the hell.
Yeah, I it looked scary to be honest, seeing Julia Hart, wincing in pain. And like I think they were talking about like these varsity blondes were getting like a lot of wins under their belt, and I think they are ranked number two or number three in the rankings. So they were just addressing to that, and just before Griff Garrison could say something, it all like the arena blacked out, and then Malachi appeared, and then he missed Julia Hart. So I have a feeling that with the whole House of Black Teas that Malachi has been doing, they might build his own stable. I know one person who is definitely going to join him, but there is another person that could probably be Julia Hart as part of his thing, because when he's missing, because this thing is like, it's the fan theory or whatever it was with the Fiend, if you remember, his whole hurt or heel stick. So Malachi, whenever he spits out mist into someone's eyes, moving them to a darker side. Happened with Cody Rhodes, him just beating.
Basically, a curse.
Yeah, it's a curse. It's a hurt thing if with the Fiend lore. And like the one person that I know who's definitely going to join him in AEW is Brody King, because he's basically Aleister Black, like a little upsized. And they're also, I believe, they're also the PWG Tag Team Champions at this point.
Yep.
So that is something that is definitely going to happen in AEW. And whenever they eventually have a match with Varsity Blondes, I think Brody King is going to be that tag team partner of Malachi. And then, probably corrupt Julia Hart and have her join the stable as well. So this is what I'm feeling that will happen. This is what I feel that will happen. Sorry.
Okay, so should be good, I guess. Nothing big of a program. And you mentioned Brody King, bro. Even CM Punk mentioned that he wants him in AEW.
Yeah, which is like a great praise for someone like him who's like, relatively unknown to a mass crowd. Because I mean, of course, the diehard wrestling fans know him, but AEW is also, watched by a few casual viewers. So that'll open a lot of eyes once he eventually appears, and then because and if that's a match that is going to happen in future, fuck yeah, I'm interested in that, because it's going to be a good, like, battle of kicks plus Punk being a veteran more into a technical side. And speaking of which, I'm also like desperately waiting for an eventual Punk versus Malachi match. That should be awesome.
And you're talking about Brody King. He was a, and currently is still, an ROH guy. We know the situation with ROH. And I'm desperately, waiting for the Briscoes to show up.
They were backstage at an AEW show the past couple of weeks.
Even Jonathan Gresham was backstage for an AEW show.
Yeah, he was there last week, but he's also starting his own wrestling promotion. I'm not sure if that's an indie or it's something that he'll look to build long term. But that's also a thing that is going to happen. But yeah, I mean, I feel that it's going to be like Thunder Rosa. She's running her own promotion, but also she's appearing on national TV with AEW. So there is a possibility, you could say.
Wrestling is cool, man. Wrestling is cool.
No, for sure, man.
But before we talk about this main event, is there anything we are forgetting, man?
Uh, no, I mean, in as a match, no. But for Rampage, apart from the matches that we announced, there is also another match that is booked, which is Adam Cole versus Wheeler Yuta, with Young Bucks and Bobby Fish by Cole's side, and Trent, Chuck, and Orange at Utah side. So that's going to be something.
There
But
you go.
your prediction is somewhat coming true, though, with
Yeah,
undisputed era possibly forming in AEW.
but what about boy Johnny Wrestling, man?
Oh man. I his contract just got expired at midnight, so I have I have a feeling he won't return to wrestling until probably early next year or like by Feb or March or something. So if we are seeing him in AEW, there's a good chance it could happen at or just before Revolution. Because of
Bro,
course,
I think Johnny Gargano will fit easily in AEW.
oh,
Like, he
100%,
is a
man.
guy that is a great candidate for a TNT title run. Imagine this guy wrestling every week, defending. Doing his own open challenges, kind of like what Sammy is doing.
Yes, and of course, not to forget the eventual dream match with Bryan Danielson. So that's also something that we are waiting for. We were hoping that we would have gotten that in WWE, but unfortunately, it wasn't to be. But a part of me also feels that he'll return to WWE but the chances are like very less compared to him showing up in AEW. But Kyle O'Reilly is 100% shoe in for
Yep.
AEW. That's what I feel.
Yeah, if that's the case, let him make that money, man.
Yeah. Fair enough. And of course, like,
And
with fatherhood approaching, you have to make the bank, right?
yeah, and if Nick Khan ever calls him, then he will decide what his next journey will be.
Yep. But I don't think Nick Khan cares though as much.
Does Nick Khan even know how to pronounce Johnny Gargano?
That's
I
a
think he
conversation.
does. I think he does. Does Vince McMahon know how to pronounce Johnny Gargano? That's the question.
I'm not sure about that. What is that?
But
Gargantuan.
but shall we talk about the Dynamite main event?
Yep. What it do?
This is Bryan Danielson versus John Silver, aka Johnny Hungy, big
Uh, I'm
hometown
sorry.
pop.
I'm sorry. I think we forgot another thing that was announced for next week on Winter is Coming, which is Hikaru Shida versus Serena Deeb.
How did I forget that, man? That was actually something that they have built towards for the last
Couple of
months or
months.
weeks.
Couple of months. Like the first match was around Shida's 50th win. The second was TBS title match, TBS tournament match, and this is the third. Hopefully a blow off, but I wouldn't get tired seeing these two wrestle because awesome stuff.
There you go, man. This was a really good non-title feud.
Yeah, yeah, better than Queen's Crown as a whole. So there you go.
Like obviously, man. Come on.
I
But
tried,
let's talk
Chandra.
about Bryan. Yeah, let's
Danielson,
talk about Bryan Danielson versus John Silver. Like I said, John Silver, hometown guy from
my
Long
boy,
Island.
Johnny Hungy
Yeah,
represent.
yeah. Good reaction for him as well. And like the rest of the Dark Order matches, like didn't it was okay. Like the aim is to keep Danielson. He's getting booed,
Heat.
basically acting like a heel now.
Yeah, he's still coming from the babyface tunnel, and there's a good chance he'll just turn back face next week after facing Hangman.
That's how it works, man. Even in WWE, he was heel for a while, and then he got hot again as a babyface.
Yep. And of course, it's also Bryan Danielson. If there's anyone who knows to work a crowd super well, it's him.
But his heel run lasts only for a couple of days
Yeah.
because I think he works better. Now he works better as heel as also, but the crowd loves to cheer him, not boo him.
Even in this case, like I wasn't ready to boo Danielson. Plus, of course, like I wouldn't because he's such a great this thing, but I wasn't ready to see him as a heel. It makes sense with getting Hangman over because if Danielson was still a face, he would have been more over than Hangman, which would have been detrimental to his burgeoning title run. So I thought it worked in that sense. I mean, it's working in that sense just to get more goodwill behind Hangman.
So yeah, like even you mentioned here, Danielson is basically now you know a
Tweener,
temporary heel.
yeah, yeah. Temporary
Uh,
heel is like a better way to put it instead of a tweener.
do you know who's going to be a permanent heel?
Oh,
CM Punk.
let's see where that goes.
You hold that thought. We'll talk about this match. So it was a good enough match. They gave John Silver, some moments. And I liked this spot where Danielson was, he was on the offense, dominating John Silver, and saying like, "Who is this guy? Who
He's
is
a
this
joke.
John Silver guy? He's basically a joke." That was the whole body language that we saw from Danielson here. And there was this spot where he was doing missile drop kicks, doing a keep up, and just posing to the crowd and getting that hit. And he did that again for the second time. It was worked again, and he was trying for the third time, but this time it backfired. And Silver caught Danielson in a
Power
sudden
bomb.
power bomb, which looked insane.
Scary. It was scary knowing, Brian's neck issues, which had him retired at one point. And of course, it if that spot had gone like just a little bit wrong, it would have led to an instant concussion, which was even scarier.
Well, this is a guy who wrestled Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, and even then he got dropped on his head, which we were scared about him getting concussed or something.
And there was another German suplex spot which looked insane. And I have to say, John Silver, it's a really good looking German suplex.
No,
The
yeah.
snap on it was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, he does it well with the combo move with Alex Reynolds, which is awesome by itself. I'm using the word awesome a lot because I'm so happy watching this episode. Sorry. But there was like, he did that pump kick onto leaning Danielson onto the middle rope, and then he hits the German suplex. I think that is more devastating than his combo with Reynolds.
But at the end, Danielson was the one who got the victory. I think what happened was he initially hit him with a roundhouse kick or the running knee. What happened? Like, what happened in the final sequence?
So there was a moment where Danielson had gotten back into the offense, which he reversed Silver's momentum while Silver was making the run onto him, and then Danielson hits the Busaiku knee, and then he just takes him out with a Gotch pile driver, and then he takes out with a half Nelson submission move onto leaning John Silver. So that was it when John Silver had passed out by that point, and that was the end to the match. But you want me to continue with the post match or?
Yeah, please do. I think we had a promo.
Yes, so Danielson wasn't finished with that, so he tapped out John Silver, or let's say made him pass out, but he wasn't letting go of the hold until like he was taken out by Bryce Remsburg from that, and Danielson was celebrating with the hand wave, and then he said he wasn't done with it, and then he just goes on to a promo saying each and every single week I had made a promise to kick all of Dark Order members heads in. There was one week it was Evil Uno, second it was Colt Cabana, third it was Allen Angels, and now John Silver. And then I'm gonna kick everyone's head in. I made the promise. Then he just drops the mic and just stomps John Silver, and then Hangman makes the save to for Silver, and then Bryan. Then he just beats down Bryan for a while, and then Bryan escapes, and then Hangman just says one line. He says, "Next week, I'm going to stomp the cowboy shit out of you," and then he just drops the mic, and that was the entire segment slash promo, whatever you want to call it, post match, and then we fade to black for the show's end.
So there you go. We are getting the match next week. Should be a really great match, but uh, I find it a little weird here. Like if you think in that way, that Danielson is the heel in this situation. He is the guy who has, been wrestling every week. How
Yes,
many times has Hangman Page wrestled after winning the title?
zero.
So are we expecting something else as in terms of outcome for next week's match?
I hope not because they haven't done much with Hangman as a champion because this is his first feud and they just like it's the whole story has been the Danielson versus the Dark Order. And besides that, like this should be Hangman's victory. I don't want it to be Danielson's with all due respect. And of course, that should be the message or that should be the intention behind building this match because they wouldn't turn Bryan heel otherwise if the entire goal was to get Hangman over as champion.
I don't know, man. I don't know. There could be, AEW could go to the WWE route. Small
No,
chance, but
no. Not for the Heat, brother. Not for the Heat.
not for the hate.
Not for the Heat, man. Bully Ray can fuck off. Uh, there was one thing that I wanted to point out. Like last week, if you remember, Tony Khan tweeted out and Hangman mentioned on the commentary that him and Bryan weren't allowed to face each or get in contact with each other. Otherwise, both will get suspended before the title match. So that was something that was enforced last week. But this week, Hangman was able to attack Danielson like nothing happened, and then Danielson makes the escape.
Um, so
So
what do you think is going to happen now?
I don't know. I feel they will
A
just
last,
forget.
a last minute cancellation.
They're just going to forget about it. So and the match is going to take place as it is.
I think Tony Khan breached this contract and cut the 1 week from this
Yeah,
said stipulation.
yeah. He's like now 1 week. John Silver cut that. I'm going to touch Bryan, and then he was like, "Nah, fuck it. I'm not letting this happen."
But to be honest, at least they should have given Hangman a big match in this whole build-up. A big match.
Yeah, just to, warm himself up, get into wrestling shape for the lack of a better term, before facing
Yeah, you
someone
could
like
have used.
Danielson.
Yeah, you could have done a QT Marshall Hangman match.
Yeah. Or probably, yeah, any of the factory members also would have been good.
But I don't know, man. Let's see. That match should be really great. And there you go, man. That was Dynamite here in Long Island. Really good show. And next week is winter is coming. Any expectation from that show because of the name?
No.
Not at all.
I mean, expectations, my only expectations is it's going to be a very good show because if you noticed, like, they've been slowly building up the excitement slash uh, quality of the show because the entire goal was to build up to the winter is coming show. Because the past couple of weeks, past couple of weeks show has been a bit, it's been good, but it's also been eh. This week was also like just another step towards building up to that pay-per-view slash TV show episode, special episode. So the entire hype is just around that show, and I thought it's like they're going to knock it out of the park with the winter is coming show as it is.
Any debut?
No, probably I don't want Wyndham to debut, but I'm not keeping any expectations with debut. Whoever shows up will show up, and if it's good for the company, good for us. It's good for the fans, then good for everyone.
If we don't see any debuts, at least I want to see Sting or Darby Allin doing their entrance in a snowboard.
Oh,
The snow.
that should happen somehow. And even last week, like we forgot to mention, like, the undefeated streak is no more now. Colton Gunn has finally been submitted. So
The back of the line goes Colton Gunn.
he was always back of the line. He was undefeated all this while, and he didn't get a single sniff at the title picture. Why the fuck?
And in other news, before we wrap things up, Billy Gunn and Colton Gunn are Jim Cornette's second favorite tag team in all Elite Wrestling.
First being FTR. So
My point. But
Yeah.
with that being said, where can these guys find you?
So you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @rid_Aman. And if you're watching this in video format, you can see it in any of the bottom corners. I still haven't figured out which one it is, so make that up. What you will.
Bottom one.
Yeah, somewhere at the bottom, left or right, wherever you see it.
And you can find Slamhub Wrestling on Twitter at SlamhubW, Instagram at Slamhub Wrestling. You can catch this review on Anchor and Spotify as well. This was the AEW Dynamite review, and we'll see you guys next time.
Adios.